Yeah, I know I've been making a lot of NASCAR themed vlogs lately, and I'm gonna make another one. Make no apologies, but with everything that's happened in the first 5 races, as Phil, and I was watching Race Hub a couple hours ago, and they crunched the numbers on the possibility of Denny Hamlin making the chase, and it's not that big a stretch. I think they said an average finish to get in the top 20 of about 13th or something like that, with a win or two, and it would probably get him in the chase, and I'm okay with that. But here's what gets crazier. One of the possible fill-ins mentioned, Elliott Sadler seems to be the most prominent name, but Mark Martin, who's running a partial schedule in the 55 Michael Waltrip car, has been mentioned. Well, let's say how crazy it could get. Let's say Martin wins a race or two and gets in the top 20 in points. Hamlin wins a race or two, getting the top 20 in points, and they get the 2 wild cards. And possibly 2 of them, if Mark Martin does get in the 11 car, and J.D. Gibbs was interviewed by phone on Race Hub, no decision's been made. They have to run it by the sponsors. They have to run it by Toyota, I feel sure, although Toyota would probably be okay with either Mark Martin or Elliott Sadler, both of them in the Toyota camp. But how crazy can it get? Could it happen? You would have to go back a long time to find a NASCAR Grand National Winston Cup Sprint Cup champion, in other words NASCAR's top touring series champion, who did not run all the races. You would probably have to go back to 1971, before the modern era. Now, honestly, it was physically impossible to run all the races, because at that time the qualifying races at Daytona counted as points races. And of course, drivers, as today, only run one. But drivers didn't always run all the races back then. They would skip a race. That was some of the factory days where I think Richard Petty won the 71 championship, and I know he skipped at least one race. But so you have to go back over 40 years where you literally have 2 drivers, and that's who could get in the top 20 in points and make the chase, although Mark Martin's not even scheduled to run all the chase races now. Part of this may be a moot point, because I figure if Denny Hamlin wins a race, comes back and wins a race or two, he will probably be a wild card. But how crazy is it? And I did a whole vlog. I don't like the fact that a driver who's announced for a partial schedule could make the chase. I don't have a problem with Hamlin getting it, because he's out for a legitimate reason, but a driver who just doesn't want all the races don't deserve to be in the chase. Denny Hamlin said, and I'm not a fan of his, said if it wasn't for the pain threshold, he'd get in the car. But of course, with the medication they're allowed to be on, I'm sure he's on pain medication and so forth. It's just not possible, and probably not best for his health. Again, wish Denny Hamlin a speedy recovery, get back in the car. I may not be a fan of yours, but as fans, we need everybody out there. But how crazy, comment, could it be if 2 drivers make the chase without even running all the races? But especially if both of them spend time in the 11 car. Just my thoughts on the subject, that's all.